As a 7th grader, I thought I would become a famous composer for video game companies, similar to Kichi Okabe, the composer of the Nier series, or Nobuo Utsumu, the composer of Final Fantasy series. From 7th grade to 11th grade, one of my dreams was to have one of my compositions to be played by my school orchestra, which I was a part of and I enjoyed a lot. Unfortunately, despite working hard and continuously talking to the teacher, it never worked out in the end. Now I have a finished piece with 6 months of hard work, just not to be played by the orchestra. I felt pretty defeated and I felt betrayed a little after I was sort of promised it would be. Fast forward to today, I thought I'd share this composition with you and how I did it as an 11th grader. Hello, I'm George Kostic. I'm a 3D artist, a composer, and a cybersecurity student, and I'll be showing you how to make a finished composition as a high schooler. I think. Oh well. I didn't want to compose just to compose, but I wanted the soundtrack to have a feeling of hope and a bit of determination. And it has leccatos, staccatos, and most importantly, fun to play. But also to play because this is just a high school orchestra after all. I wanted to have piano as the main instrument because I did take private lessons back in the day for a couple of years, and I thought it would be cool if I played the piano with the orchestra. As I mentioned in the beginning, I was a big fan of Kichi Okabe. I loved his compositions in the Nier series, and later, when you listen to the full soundtrack, you can sort of listen to his style minus the high depth of energy he adds to his music. I wanted the name of the composition to feel empty but full. Not sure if that makes any sense, but the name I decided for the composition was Frozen Horizons. It sounded cool and fit the description of what I wanted. After I got the basic idea, I launched FL Studio and started cooking it. I initially used free orchestra libraries just to have something down. My school orchestra setup was pretty standard. You got your violin 1 and 2 section, viola section, cello section, and the bassist section. That's why I modeled my composition after. I couldn't find the original .flp file, but I did find all the MIDIs except the piano MIDI. I couldn't find it. I don't want to spoil anything, so I used the piano for all the MIDIs. Looking at the sketch, we're using 100 beats per minute, and we can see violin 1 and cello start the melody, then bass, inter, and viola, and very last is violin 2. I did that to have a dramatic effect as if the instruments are talking to each other and slowly responding. Then it goes into the main melody with a violin 1 and cello section having a solo. Then it wraps up and almost like it's going to be the end, but aha, surprise, by more staccatos. And it goes back to legato and then back to staccato. After so, it becomes emotional at the end, which is the hopeful aspect I spoke about in the beginning. The piano-only demo doesn't do justice because dynamics are not accurate. After I was happy with the sketch, I imported into MuseScore as a MIDI file, then I cleaned it up because MIDI is pretty messy, but they're amazing to get the soundtrack started from start to finish. Never be afraid to use more than one tool. I think doing a sketch on a DAW then importing into MuseScore was a genius idea. I don't remember where I got it from, but feel free to follow my workflow. Looking at the composition, we can see that it gets 3 measures of rest before playing because the piano starts for those 3 measures as mentioned as earlier. It slowly builds up and becomes louder and louder and then quiet and then the staccato slaps you in the face. This was my first actual music composition. If you're a professional composer, I'm sure you can see a lot of the flaws that I can't see. This was my first and last composition. I was pretty discouraged from the whole experience. Enough said, here's the full composition. I hope you like it.